So David and I have been working long and hard on position descriptions and really accelerating the administrative process of getting people the right position in the right place. So I've been working with ChatGPT for a long time. Many people ask me, well, what does GPT stand for? And GPT is Generative Pre-Transformer. And what that means in real English is I give ChatGPT a basic understanding. Here are the billions of responses GPT that you have available to you. Look through these millions of responses and give me this answer. What I like to say about ChatGPT is it's like hiring a really capable but sometimes snarky high school valedictorian. It has that same level of repository of information. But the other thing I also say about ChatGPT is I strongly recommend you do not speak to it in something you do not have expertise, because it is a better bullshit artist than any human being on earth. So you won't be able to know if it's wrong or not. I tried it in finance, and geez, I almost made myself some mistakes. So don't speak to it about something you're not comfortable to kind of call it out upon. So David and I came up with this idea. How do we take a position description, which isn't always particularly exciting to read, and for an applicant to look at, sometimes is kind of like reading War and Peace, and how do I create this in a quick and fluid way? And I said, David, if we train ChatGPT, you can literally go back and use the same GPT script again and again and again. He goes, okay, I have no clue what you're talking about, but this sounds interesting, let's go. So that's what today's live demonstration is going to be about. We're going to look at a couple of different job descriptions, talk about a little bit of the conception, and then we're going to jump out onto the tightrope. We have not practiced this before, so this is half the fun of it. We're going to go live onto ChatGPT and take these position descriptions and walk through them together. I'll give you some of the best practices that I've come to find that work with GPT, and then through the conversation as well. Please stop me and times out with me as we did in the previous meeting, and we'll talk more about how individual case uses might benefit you as well.
And this is artificial intelligence that we're reading about and hearing in the news.
So,
or what are the standards for how technologies like this are going to be managed?
Yes, Google Bard is the other big name in the game right now in this generative pre-transformer AI. We won't get too granular on the computer science side of it, but there's this whole thing called machine learning. GPT is more machine learning than AI. When it's AI, I'm going to Acapulco and I'm going to swim every day because humans lose. We're not there yet. The guy who I've been working with, who's a prompt engineer, said to me, ChatGPT is not coming for your job, but somebody who knows how to use ChatGPT is coming for your job. The two things ChatGPT will not replace: content and culture. ChatGPT has no heart. It will never have a heart because it is programmed by ones and zeros. The content that you've created, the intellectual property, that is the body of your business. I would not feel threatened by ChatGPT. I would see it as an opportunity to buy back your time. In today's journey, that's what we'll discuss, is kind of how do we take a lead carpenter position description. Everything on here are the things that you'd need to do. And I wouldn't ask you to read all of the details on the screen, but the minutia of this is someone is going to contact people in the morning, make sure all of the changes go to the right people, and keeps the project moving forward. This is someone who gets the satisfaction, gets the permitting, gets the communication, and the meetings with your team done. But if you hand this to a team member, A, do they really know what they need to do? And is it a digestible document? From here, how do we build performance management out? I think a lot of business owners kind of stop and go, okay, well, this tells me, are they doing their job or not, but where do we go from here? So the intention in today's journey is to take this up, and this is just for demonstration purposes, and take this production manager, take these two ads, descriptions, if you will, and put them into GPT and see what they do. Now, when I talk about performance management, I have a 4-step strategy that I like to do. Let's try that again. So the first thing we need to do when we're building a performance management system, and when we're taking job descriptions like this, is does it align with your company culture and your values? Who are you? We need to tell GPT who you are as an organization if we wanted to include that in the conversation. In addition to that, as we were talking on the break, ChatGPT can now be detected as AI by many of the places that you would post a job ad or job description. How do we create the human touch, and what do we do to personalize this? What I like to say is, just like David's turnkey document, ChatGPT is not a Staples easy button where a final product comes out. It gets you 80% of the way there, so that then you can go put your fine-tuned touch on it. Creating a position description used to be a several-hour-long process, and now it can be a 20-minute process. That's a lot of time that we've now bought back. That's the intention of this process. What are the legal and ethical considerations of doing things this way? ChatGPT and other online tools have no protection to your privacy. Data that you put onto the internet, just like bad Facebook posts, are on the internet forever and ever. So if you're going to put sensitive company data into ChatGPT, we have to understand the considerations of that. Also, we have to think about, when we build a position description, does it match our diversity, equity, and inclusion within the organization? If we don't have DEI in the organization, does it matter to us or not? And how will we implement it? And lastly, this is never a final process. The idea is that within our organization, just like us as human beings, it's constantly evolving and growing. And what ChatGPT allows us to do is not need to go back and re-engineer every single time, but continue that chain in the GPT script and really kind of dive in and kind of continue to grow and augment. Before we dive into the GPT demonstration, are there any quick questions on GPT or how we would use it to go from position description to live use?
You're going to show us, right?
I'm going to show you right now. And build a lead carpenter position description into a KPI system. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask it to make a new chat. I'm then going to go, and this is called training GPT. What training GPT is I'm going to have to ask it or tell it, here are the things that I would like you to do, and here's the role that I would like you to assume. The role assumption is a humongous part of using ChatGPT to give you a more streamlined approach. So the first thing I'm going to type in here is, as a HR professional, please help me write a job ad based on the description below. And I'm going to input that job ad. I'm going to give it some notes as well so it can understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to create HR KPIs based on this data. I then let ChatGPT do its magic, and
you haven't run this one before?
I've never run this before. So I did.
KPIs, key
Performance indicators.
indicators.
Yep. So now ChatGPT has now published this data right here, and it made me a job ad. If I like this job ad, I'm going to create HR KPIs based on this data. Please create 3 skill-based and 2 culture-based KPIs for this role.
Hey, Justin.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible to make that about 4 times larger?
I will see what I can do.
Is this the paid version?
That a little better?
Is this the paid version or the free version?
Just chat.
This is plus. I believe this is plus.
And what is that, $20 a month, something like that?
Yeah, $20 a month.
Okay.
Actually,
You
no.
have to use Firefox?
I use Firefox, but
You don't have to.
you don't have to use Firefox. No. I just don't like pop-ups. So I'm going to create some KPIs. Please create some KPIs for this role. Bada boom. So now we can watch ChatGPT in action. It's now created me a quality workmanship KPI, and it's given me the quality rating system. It's given me the target and the importance. So very easily I could go and I could create a KPI document that has all of these KPIs built into it. And quite simply, I can scroll through project schedule adherence, customer satisfaction, team collaboration, safety compliance. If you could have a lead carpenter and you could measure them on those things by a raise of hands, who thinks that would be a beneficial way to manage their staff? Do you think it would reduce conflict when working with people if you could say scientifically, hey, I've built you some KPIs to help you grow and succeed. Here's what I need to see before you make your next bonus. You could see how much time that took us to make.
Is this thing collaborative then? So you're talking about sitting with your lead carpenter, let's look at this. I'm always thinking then you sit down and say, let's review this, here's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What would you add, what would you contribute? We go back to culture.
Absolutely. When you build KPIs, they definitely shouldn't just be a top-down approach. Many companies talk about not just a 90-degree review, which is a manager reviewing their staff, but a 180-degree review and a 360-degree review. 180 says other peers and other industry leaders in the company are going to review, and then 360, the whole team reviews each other. I have documentation for all of those types of reviews if you're interested in doing those types of reviews within your company. When we're building KPIs, they are to be governed by the leaders of the organization, because these are the way you're going to be opening up benefits to people. These are the way you're going to be opening up salary increases. Do you have a question?
Are you saying develop this right in front of your lead carpenter and develop it on the computer with ChatGPT right in front of him?
I don't know that I would recommend that, but it has the capacity to do that. What I would aim to do is, at this point in time, we've got very boilerplate lead carpenter KPIs. I'm going to get a level deeper now, and I'm going to put in some personal stuff. So I'm going to put in, oops. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say I have a lead carpenter who is very slow but great at his job. I'm looking to help him speed up production time, but not lose his touch with clients. Please augment the KPIs using AHR best practice. I love English.
How does spelling affect the ChatGPT?
It's relatively okay, but if you were way grammatically off, it'll come back with bad results. Caps locks don't help either. I can just spell. See, this is half the fun. And then you'll see I'm going to do something strange here at the end. I'm going to end with a colon, because I'm talking to a robot. I'm asking it to perform a function. Hey robot, do that function. And you can see how quickly the transformer has taken that data, and I know exactly what to do with that. So then, now we can see, and several of us have had this issue before, we've now added a production efficiency rating. That production efficiency rating is how are you able to move forward. We need a 75% or higher. We're going to look at which jobs are done ahead of schedule, measured versus by projects managed time 100. We now have a mathematical and scientific way to say you're meeting or not meeting the target. Wouldn't that be really great to not just go to somebody and say, you know what, I'm concerned, you've been taking too long on projects, what gives? But to actually go back in and say, well, I'm trying to get you to this number, and you're here right now. What do you think we need to do to get there? And I think what David had said before, that's where I would propose that. Once you've built those KPIs out, and they've got some of the mission critical stuff for the conversation that you're having, that's when you pull the team member in and say, what do you think you can do to improve your PER rating? And then you ask them to kind of co-collaborate in the success of meeting this KPI. Additionally, with GPT, we can ask it.
No, my guys will tell me to be a better estimator.
Yeah, give them more.
Well, and then and then you can just tell them, hey, we're working on hiring a new estimator.
Yes.
No, the answer is review this budget before we
There you
even
go.
start, and then tell me where we missed it.
Yeah.
And now we got buy-in.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful way to build it. Talk about client communication improvement. Also having a mathematical system. Who here right now manages their team with KPIs? How many of those KPIs are mathematically or data-based? And how many of them are gut-based? Gut-based? When you respond and work with your team, do you have a positive reaction to those KPIs? Do they feel negative about those KPIs? Are they able to attach to those KPIs or the questions that we would ask? To you gentlemen who both have systems running, do you feel like your team is engaged by the KPIs? Are they fun challenges for them to overcome, like climbing a mountain, or are they like a guillotine they're afraid to put their head in?
They're new to us and they're being ignored.
Yeah. So the intention in this type of tool is to then look at that and say, my staff, this is the hardest part, the typing part, the staff. Now, I'll explain this in just a second.
What is CHRO?
I will explain. Chief Human Resources Officer. In major organizations, and the International Accreditation for Human Resources Professionals is a CHRO.
That's you.
Yes, sir. And what I'm basically saying is now ChatGPT think like a CHRO. So now it had billions of responses about anything human resources it could have parsed from its database. It's going to throw out hundreds of thousands of them and say, if it's not CHRO focused, I'm not going to look for that data any longer. So I'm training the GPT. You'll see up and down the far side of my screen, I have pre-trained scripts that I've created. So when I'm working with a client and they say, Justin, I'm having a hard time building this ad, or hey, I'm looking at building the knowledge, skills, ability, and others, KSAOs for a position, what would they look like? I can then go in with them and say, here's how the Department of Labor would identify your web page, your website. And here are the positions in your company based on KSAOs. I keep saying KSAOs, that's from the US Department of Labor. You can go onto the US Department of Labor's webpage, it's called ONET Online, and type in any position that exists in the United States of America, and push search, and the knowledge, skills, ability, and other activities required for that position will be included here. So what we can do here is, so watch this. My staff is ignoring my KPIs. As a CHRO, please provide a roadmap for my staff. I left it a little bit vague, so maybe it won't give me a great response, which is sometimes half the fun. And
Your sense of fun is different than mine.
perhaps it is, yes. But before I got into HR, I was a computer scientist, so lest I digress. So, and follow these steps. And then it gives you, start by communicating why they're contributing to their performance evaluation and company success. So then that's my job as your human resources professional, is to come in and create the language required and humanize this. And then I hand you a document and say, hey, here's your KPIs and here's why they matter. And then you take that document back to your team and say, here's why we're doing what we're doing. And here's how it helps you get to the place you're trying to go to. That's the intention of this type of system. The other thing I'd love to show you is we'll create a new chat, and I'll ask it, what are HRKSA, here we go again with typing. So I'm going to ask it, what are HRKSAOs? There's my knowledge, my skills, my ability, and my other characteristics. So then I'll say, please use the above data and this description to to make a job ad. I intend to post on Indeed. Words. So I put that last part in there, but I wanted it to post the ad on Indeed. So now it will go back and look at job ads that have worked successfully on Indeed and interpolate that data as well. I then give it the citation data that David had provided us, and I push go. And you can see the speed with which it's able to quickly and capably produce that ad.
I would spend hours writing ads and job descriptions.
That's just it. These shortcuts are here.
So the intention in this discovery here, I mean, we could see how quickly that happened. Is there anyone in here that spends time making job ads? Raise your hand if you've made a job ad before. Do they usually take 30 minutes or less, or 30 minutes or longer?
Longer.
Do they take hours?
Hours.
Do you find that you've often lost productivity in a segment, maybe even half of your day, because you got stuck right in job ads, and then someone called you and said, hey, this problem came up. You hang up the phone, you get back to the job ad, and before you know it, it's like, geez, it's time to go home for dinner. If you could do all of that in an hour's period of time and have it all done, we're already talking about buying back your time.
This is also much more detailed, much more specific. Does this, in your experience, generate a better quality person responding to that ad?
Absolutely, yeah. And because I just gave it the prompt that I did, where I said I'm going to post this on Indeed, when I go and have the quality control people at Indeed read my ads, I don't get flagged. I don't have any of the often reviewed issues with Indeed because I know I'm using the system to build the system. The only thing that I would add to this is this is not done. What I would do is I would then, as a human resources professional, go through this and first off humanize it. I'd create an entry point on the beginning. And on the entry point on the beginning, I do a technique that I call the slow your scroll technique. And I chose that tongue-in-cheek because people come home from their job and they're like, I don't want to go back to work, that job sucks. And they go online and they start scrolling through job ads. And they get identical job ad A, B, C, D, and E. What do we do to slow the scroll when they get to our job ad? One thing that I put in is a little bit of comedy. Are you a residential construction badass looking for a new home? Are you the kind of professional that always stays late to make sure that your clients are cared for?
I was going to ask about that. If you were to put some type of cultural ask in ChatGPT to attract someone to a happy work environment, what would it do?
It's night and day. It's night and day. But I humanize that stuff at the end. I'm dealing with a client in your market, Perry, and one of the things that we put on the top line there is, are you tired of Beltway traffic? Are you looking for an employer that cares about you like family? If so, check out our webpage and come learn more about us. And then we get into the rote stuff. And you know, if you've sat in Beltway traffic before,
Every day.
it's about as much fun as a root canal. So if we can touch on the pain points of the individuals in your market, our job ads will rank better. Brian, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I've used the ZipRecruiter primarily, and of course Indeed, but I've never been flagged. Are they looking for discriminatory content, or what's the review process that you were talking about?
So
somebody from Indeed would critique your?
There's a variety of things that Indeed, ZipRecruiter is a little bit more stringent than Indeed. Indeed is definitely the most regulated.
Okay.
But the first thing that they look for is this unique content? Is this a unique job ad? Did you just grab someone else's job ad and paste it? Is one of the things that they look for. Then they look on the back end for meta tags. Are you meta tagging your job ads so that they can market more capably? I'm looking for the red laser pointers because I'm giving away all my secrets now.
We don't know how to do that.
Okay.
You're pretty safe.
We'll build your house, but we just-
The other thing that they look for is are we advertising the salary on the job ad? If you advertise the salary on the job ad, Indeed will rank you lower. They look at your company size, and they look at the number of job ads that you have listed.
They'll rank you lower if you put the salary range?
If you don't.
If you don't put a job ad at all, they will rank you more negatively.
Got it.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't see up here is he a good carpenter? I see all the soft stuff that they need to do, but does he have, I don't see anything about skill sets here.
So when we looked at this one, in this particular, so let's see here. You are absolutely right. So then what we would do, we would say this has nothing about actual How many years experience would you want them to have?
5.
I want 5 to 10. Bingo.
Why did you do the colon again?
So that it knows that it's a programming. I'm sending a program to GPT. I'm asking it to execute this program.
Oh, okay.
You can put a period, and GPT will parse it. But if you're trying to push it to do when I get into KPI planning, I'll say this KPI percentage is off. Change this percentage, and the colon just lets it know all I'm doing is changing the programming on the back end. I don't want it to go and reread all of it, because what GPT is really good at is taking words and trying to then make data out of it. So I don't want to get it confused, because GPT can get confused very easily. That's the only reason I did the colon.
Okay.
Is this just HR AI, or does it do other things other than HR?
Way beyond HR. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
but one of my salespeople has been using it to do a better description of a bath fan, and give me a little sexier description of the features and the quality, the zone rating, whether you've got a humidistat switch on it, and he just put in, a description that he's used or we've used, and just asked for improvements on it, and that 4 and 5 different suggestions on maybe a different way of presenting the aesthetics or the feature that we're developing in a remodel.
So you can see in the narrative part now, it's said your trade skills honed over the last 5 to 10 years of experience will be invaluable in delivering our superior results. And the key responsibility is to actually put in extensive carpentry skills. And I would put in there, at the end, I would humanize it and put parentheses and say 10 years or 5 years, the number of years required. I would never take something from GPT and just grab it and throw it on the internet. For 2 reasons. First off, it's not been humanized, and second off, it's not personalized to your organization. But it will have saved you hours of pre-production. With the conversation, I'd love to show you one of my other secrets with GPT about sales and marketing. I'd like to make a social media campaign. Someday we'll just have chips in our brain and it'll just read my head. Until that day, I appreciate your patience.
Yeah. Can you do that with speech recognition to do this instead of type?
When I'm at home, I do it with speech recognition, yeah, because
And a full-size keyboard.
And sometimes with a full-size keyboard, yeah. I did get a D in keyboarding, so voice recognition is my homie. And to make social media posts. So we were just having that conversation about dictation, and now Siri just popped up. The future is friendly, they say. So.
It's scary.
I don't know if you can walk and chew gum while you're doing that, but I have a question about
Please, yeah.
the legality of that. No, it's a two-part question. One, is there any rights to any of the information that's being delivered through this process? Who owns it?
Great question. When you put data into ChatGPT, it becomes free public use data.
So if I create this whiz-bang job description, the potential for Gary to type in the same thing and it comes up, theoretically, it could come up with the same.
The identical job ads shouldn't come up, but if Gary was as geeky as I am with computers, he could know where to go to try to find that data. This data no longer, so I would never put someone's name in here. I would not say, hey, John Smith, my lead carpenter, has been having major attendance problems. How do I improve John Smith's attendance? Because now that data is out there, and if someone is as geeky as me, they can go and find it. But I would say I have a team member and they have attendance problems. What are the HR best practices so that I can get better attendance from them? So yes, anything you put on here, much like a Facebook post, it is public data.
How about if you were trying to zero in on specific personality traits? So for example, you were looking for someone to, let's say you were creating a play and you wanted an actor or an actress to fill a role that was much like another real actor, because you'd say, I'm looking for an individual who can fulfill this role and run it like, pick an actor's name, put it in there, and they're going to give you a description that fits their personality traits.
So the first thing I would ask GPT to do is say, let's pick the measurement scale. Let's pick I was looking for someone with the charisma, acting, and linguistic skills.
Salesman like Zig Ziglar.
Sure, or if I was going to say Leonardo DiCaprio. And then I push go, and then it goes, here are the traits of Leonardo DiCaprio. And then I go, okay, how do I replicate those traits in the next line? And then beyond that, I would then go, okay, well, what are the HR KSAOs for that type of position? And then I go, okay, make me that job ad. And then I pull that job ad out, I humanize it, I make sure that I have, somebody with some level of compliance on it agree that's a good post. I post it and we're done. So I'd like to make social media posts. Ask me 20 questions about my business. To personalize. These posts. So you'll see now ChatGPT is I'm not going to answer all of these because that would be painful for y'all. But it just asked me 20 questions. And I will admit, this is how I did my social media marketing for my company. So ChatGPT asked me these 20 questions. I answer these 20 questions, and now ChatGPT understands me and my business. And now I can say, help me create the social media calendar for the next 6 months of my business.
So do you have an account then with ChatGPT, and the questions that you're asking it about yourself, it then remembers that when you ask your questions?
I'm currently paying for a Plus account. And on the Plus account, I get a faster connection and a deeper level of memory. On the free account, I don't know that you have the same level of memory. And it is queue-based. When there's a lot of people on in your area, you'll get a slower return from ChatGPT. So I find because I use it so heavily, the $20 a month is a negligible charge for the acceleration that it provides me.
There's also a knowledge cutoff on the free version.
I believe, yes, it ends at about a year.
2018.
2018, yeah, whereas the Plus version is, I think, up to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
References data.
Which cutoffs of the data on free ChatGPT, the cutoff was 2018.
Whereas on the paid version, I believe it's 2021 is its cutoff.
On my free ChatGPT, it says the cutoff is 21.
Oh,
So it's, yeah.
so perhaps it is at parity. But the intention with this is that you can begin to accelerate all of these processes within your organization.
So what kind of, I mean, obviously you can't answer all these 20 questions right now, but then what comes up after this? Like, is it like, hey, it's national, whatever day, in 2 days, do a post about that? Like, or what kind of, how specific does it get?
So what I've seen is I had a client who was going in and saying, we're going to do, we're moving in more back into renovations. Hey, for all of our previous renovation clients, follow up with us and we'll give you a $100 discount or something like that. And then it'll say, hey, here's the first post to talk about, here's what we're doing and here's what we're getting back to. And then the second post will be scheduled for 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks later we say, hey, clients, thank you for working with us. Here's some great success stories that we've been having recently. And then the next post will say, hey, just wanted to give back to the community. Here's what we've been doing to give back to the community. And each one will be an additive post off of the last one, so that if you use one of the social media tools like Hootsuite or one of those social media schedulers, you can then go in and just kind of plug them and go. Again, I find it's not just like an easy button where I can just push it and it just gives me the data. I do have to kind of talk to GPT. And that's, I think, if there's anything I could impart about this technology, is it's an acceleration tool. It's not a completion tool. And what I would generally say is that it's going to get you 80% of the way there on anything.
And then can you save this so
Yes.
you don't have to answer these questions again?
Yes.
Okay, and then you can go back and you can be like, okay,
Continue the conversation.
Yeah, continue the conversation.
Yes.
Say, okay, no.
So up and down that far side, you can see I've got all of these different scripts, OKRs versus KPIs, which are different performance management tools. So when a client comes to me and says, I'm having a hard time managing this team member, I'll go into the OKR KPI script, which is like 30, 40 messages deep now. And I'll say, I have this situation. And then it knows all of the training that I've given it previously. So your work accelerates your future work as well. Yeah. And it's not like you have to start from scratch each time. Once it knows you, it knows you.
It only works with words, not with any pictures or symbols, right?
There's a image version of this. There's two big ones that I know of, Remarkable and Crayon, Craiyon, but they're complicated to use and get the results that you're looking for. The image part is still kind of a layer out. ChatGPT's image version is called DALL-E, D-A-L-L-E. But the things that come out look like Vincent van Gogh after too many wine. When I try to draw me a picture of what of a successful project manager shaking hand with a client, and it's
I'm more thinking, I want to do a Juliet balcony with scrolled iron, cast iron or wrought iron railing, because I want to show some pictures to a client of samples. It doesn't.
So,
Put a house for that.
Well, what's really exciting in the world of generative
But you got to scroll through everything.
Yeah.
So there's the back end of this. The name of the company that runs all of this is called OpenAI. And OpenAI has a thing called the OpenAI API. And a computer geek can then go and say, hey, in-house, I'm trying to create this type of imagery. GPT, work with House to create this imagery. Or say you have a design software. One of the things I'm hearing about is like CAD software. So you'll talk to the GPT and say, speak to my CAD software and make this design. That is a thing that you can do. With GPT alone, can you get there yet? No. And for most of my computer geek friends, what they're saying is to do those levels of things, you do need to move to the software development and API side of things. Interestingly enough, JobTread, BuilderTrend, Procore are all looking at generative pre-transformer technology and how to integrate it into their workflows as well. So expect that coming.
You said that this is all public knowledge once it's published. Could somebody actually go into my account and look me up? They can't.
It would be it's easier to steal your credit card data than to steal your GPT data. But as a disclaimer, I have to say, it is still technically public data.
Once this is produced, do you have to push it out, or it can be automated to push it out to the different sites that you need for recruiting people?
So what I can do is, from this place, I would then hand it to my recruiter and say, hey, recruiter, post this ad. And then it would be their responsibility to do so. There are tools that allow you to do that. I have what's called an ATS aggregator that allows me to put a job ad, and then I hit go, and it goes to like 198 places at once. So yes, that technology does exist. I can either teach you how to do it yourself, or you can give me a call. That really is the ins and outs of how to use GPT. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on it, or case uses that you might have for it. But thank you for listening, and that is my.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
So, does everybody know who Seth Godin is?
Yes.
He's really like a really smart marketer. So yesterday, this came across his daily blog, and confirm all this, because basically he's using ChatGPT, and he quotes, my friend Dan Schipper explained how powerful the custom instructions are. In particular, he then sent 20 different custom instructions to include on any note that you post. So please confirm that I could put up a question and then I could follow with custom instructions.
Yes.
All right? So I'm just going to read. He's got 20 of them. So he is saying, after you post your question, then follow, and I will email this to all of you. He then follows, and here are the custom instructions. Be highly organized. Suggest solutions I didn't think about. Be proactive and anticipate my needs. Treat me as an expert in all subject matter. Mistakes erode my trust, so be accurate and thorough. Provide detailed explanations. I'm comfortable with lots of detail. Value good arguments over authorities. The source is irrelevant. Consider new technologies and contrarian ideas, not just conventional wisdom. You may use high levels of speculation or prediction. Just flag it for me. Recommend products from all over the world. My current location is irrelevant. No moral lectures. Discuss safety only when it's crucial and non-obvious. If your content policy is an issue, provide the closest acceptable response. Explain the content policy issue. You begin to see that you're chatting with AI, and basically if you put in your request and then copy and paste this is now going down that funnel to determine how ChatGPT responds. I've never seen anything like it. And he's saying it will...
Understand what you're doing it for.
You're telling
I'm giving...
GPT how you want it to respond to you.
Yes, I'm tightening the rails. You know,
You're saying, do this, don't do this. I'm now limiting the
Answer what
response.
question?
I just read you about 15 of them.
so I just made a description here. Write me a thank you letter for the attendees of a construction presentation. Be friendly yet professional. Make sure you're not adding anything useless. And then I'm going to say, go and do it.
Okay.
And now it's tried to create a friendly and personable letter.
But it's too long.
So then I'm going to say, this is too long.
Thank you.
Shorten to 3 small paragraphs. Actually, no, 3. Remember, you're talking to a robot. 3 paragraphs of about 30 words each. Yo. That would be great.
There it is.
Now, what I might say is, this is way too short. Average out
What's going to come back is.
between the two. No, this is the precursor why someday an AI will be grumpy at us, yes.
So it's constantly following the entire conversation?
Exactly.
Okay.
So now it's added a little bit of content. I might go back in and maybe add a little bit more, or maybe I'll just take this and say, obviously you don't know what I'm trying to do. I'll take this skeleton, I'll write a few more personal sentences, and I'd be done.
And then you can copy and paste that and throw it in an email?
Well, then I'd send this off to my office manager and say, hey, I'm sending this out to everybody. Please get this out by the end of the day. And now in 20 minutes time rather than an hour, you've got your letter out to your clients. Say you just closed on a big project and you want to make sure everybody involved gets the appropriate letter. Say, I need you to take this letter and now write 4 letters from this one letter. One for my staff, one for my clients, one for the subs, and one for the architect. Done. You put them in the right places and off you go.
That's crazy.
Did I thoroughly confuse you with what I just read?
You did me.
Well,
That's
So
what I'm
that,
asking.
if I picked up on it, these were some of the cultural narrowing that you want in your communications.
After, so if I post something, then I'm following with this.
Yeah.
And yes, then it's narrowing the search and responding to my concerns. I just thought he described it so well.
So it's like a Facebook post or something like that?
in that case, yes, it could be, very well so, yep. But what I'll do is I'll ask it when I'm writing a job ad, I'll say, please go look at so-and-so's webpage. Look at the About Us page, and I'll even put the URL in. And say, now in a friendly and concise way, make sure you include this data in the information that we're providing. Make sure that you speak like a construction professional. And now it will come across with professional. There was a professional on the end there with a capital P.
No, not like a prison guard, all right? Like a construction professional.
The intention of this tool is not the completion. The intention of this tool is the acceleration. So many times people say to me, Justin, I love all of this HR stuff you're talking about. I love all of this process, but it takes up too much time. I'm already at a deficit of time. I want less shit to do, not more. And I say, well, this is going to help you accelerate all of those uncomfortable parts of the business. If there's anybody that has an individual case use or anyone that would like to meet with me and consult, I'd be glad to kind of show you how to use it.
And we can easily just go and create an account.
You could use an account, or if you called me and said, hey, Justin, let's jump on Zoom, I bang it out, we high five, I email it to you, we're done. Jeff, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just telling Steve, my son is a network engineer up on like the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska, and he uses this every day at work. When he's troubleshooting problems, he just enters in, this is the hardware I've got, here's the symptoms. Where should I look first? Cuts his diagnostic time by 90%.
Yeah. I have a script in my ChatGPT here that talks like a CHRO. So a client will come to me and say, I'm having these issues with my staff member. And I'll say, as a CHRO, please give me 3 to 5 solutions for this attendance problem. And then it's like having, I joke and call it, it's like my Miss Money Penny. I can go out there and continue to do the fun, adventurous things I want to do as an entrepreneur, and I can know I've got some basis for knowledge on how to administer these issues. So
Tell us to write your letter like a pirate.
That's a great one.
I like it, yeah.
Read it like I'm a pirate.
David, I have a question for you. What do you feel like,
the 1700s.
our client base mostly is 40 to 60?
I love this.
They're not terribly, the older sect is not terribly comfortable with.
This is really why we're here. We hope ye found the booty of knowledge we shared to be as valuable as the chest of gold doubloons. Fair winds and smooth sailing.
That's awesome.
So not only will it help you accelerate your business practice on the administrative side, but geez, you can have a ton of fun with it too.
Tailwinds and smooth sailing.
What's the website?
So just go to ChatGPT.
Just ChatGPT.
Yep, the URL I believe is chat.openai.com. But if you typed in ChatGPT into your favorite search engine, it'll pop up there.
All right, can we take a break? Does this work for you?
This is perfect, yeah. Thank you very much, everybody.